Look through the chain-link fence of any sun-bleached RV storage lot today. You will see rows of 2024 and 2025 trailers sitting under cracked graphics and faded dealer stickers. These are not junk fixer-uppers. They are expensive mistakes hiding in plain sight. Retired couples bought them new, believing the showroom fantasy, only to realize the financial math was fundamentally broken. As a technician who pulls apart these walls weekly, I see a completely different list than the salesperson. Some of the prettiest rigs on the lot are already financial failures. They just have not leaked yet. Let us expose the traps now. If you're shopping used right now, put the model and year in the comments before a salesperson makes it sound easy. Number 6. Ultra-light mass-market travel trailers. The lighter a trailer is built to attract half-ton tow vehicles, the faster it rattles itself into financial worthlessness. I want you to understand that the laws of physics do not care about what truck is parked in your driveway. A retired machinist from Pennsylvania came into my shop last season with a brand new ultralight travel trailer that he bought for $44,000. He told me straight that he chose it specifically so he would not have to upgrade his beloved half-ton truck. He spent hours staring at the towing capacity charts, convinced he was playing it safe. Within 14 months of towing it along standard highways, the frame outriggers began to visibly sag under the weight of the single slide-out. The husband thought he bought a high-tech engineering marvel, but I had to slide underneath the rig and show him the raw truth. What he was actually about to choose, and what the dealer pushed hard, was a 30-foot box optimized solely to look beautiful under showroom lighting while keeping the shipping weight low. The salesperson spent 40 minutes showing off the modern farmhouse interior styling, the seamless countertops, the big screen television, and the outdoor kitchen complete with a miniature refrigerator. The buyer focused entirely on that low dry weight sticker under 5,500 pounds. But my job is to look at what holds the house together. When I checked the tire date codes, I found entry-level, unbranded tires matched with a lightweight 3-inch chassis frame that flexed every single time the slide operated. This is the part the showroom never explains. The phrase ultra-light usually translates in the shop to thinner aluminum wall studs, 1.5-inch floor framing, spaced too far apart, and structural optimization for shipping weight rather than long-term road durability. The typical new mess-up on these units ranges from $42,000 to $48,000. Step onto a used lot 12 to 18 months later, and the real-world value drops to $21,000 or $24,000. That is the actual observed market reality for the 2023 through 2025 model years. Let us look at the mechanic math on this transaction. Buying this specific trailer new means you are throwing away roughly $1,500 per month in pure asset depreciation, the exact moment you drop that coupler onto your hitch ball. If you purchase the exact same unit 2 years old, the first owner has already paid that $20,000 structural penalty for you. The practical consequence of this lightweight compromise is that the interior wall staples naturally loosen from standard highway vibrations. This creates subtle, invisible gaps behind the exterior trim that allow rainwater to slowly penetrate the unsealed corner moldings. There is a real, significant drawback to this entire class of trailers. The insulation values are incredibly poor, which makes the interior completely uncomfortable whenever the ambient temperature climbs above 85 degrees or drops below 45 degrees. The single entry-level air conditioning unit has to run continuously, driving up your power bills and burning out components prematurely. If you are a weekend camper who travels less than 500 miles a year and parks strictly on flat concrete pads, this category might serve you. But if you are cross-country retirees who intend to live out of the rig for months at a time on public roads, you need to skip it entirely. If a trailer is light enough to pull with a crossover, it is light enough for a stiff crosswind to twist the structural staples right out of the studs. If a pretty floor plan ever hid an ugly repair bill from you, put the model below. Somebody needs that warning. But if you think lightweight travel trailers drop fast in value, wait until you see what happens when you add a complex fiberglass front cap to a budget fifth wheel. Number 5. Entry-level mid-profile fifth wheels. The affordable luxury badge on a mid-profile fifth wheel is an absolute illusion that masks massive structural stress on budget pin boxes and front frames. A former dental office manager spent $78,000 on a brand new mid-profile fifth wheel, planning to use it for full-time snowbird travel between Ohio and Florida. She was not a careless person, and she spent months researching layouts. After her very first long trip down the rough stretches of Interstate 10, the front fiberglass cap developed prominent, deep horizontal stress cracks. The dealer told her it was just cosmetic settling, but when she brought it to my bay, I knew exactly what was happening. The aluminum welds inside the front overhang were flexing under the weight of the bedroom structure. She was about to sign up for a lifetime of frame maintenance because she fell for the classic surface traps. The unit featured a massive residential-style refrigerator, an electric fireplace with a multicolor remote control, and theater seating with built-in heat and massage functions. It looked exactly like a high-end luxury condo on wheels. However, the salesperson skipped right past the foundation. I had to take a high-lumens flashlight, pull back the pinbox shroud, and show her the structural welds connecting the upper deck to the main chassis frame. The welds were already showing microscopic fractures. The secret is not in the furniture, it is underneath it. High production, mid-profile fifth wheels scale down the actual steel frame thickness to keep the retail price point between $75,000 and $85,000. Yet, they continue to stuff these units with heavy residential amenities that overstress the front overhang structure during transit. The concrete facts are brutal. You pay $85,000 out the door, and the real-world dealer trade-in value, 12 months later, drops down to $42,000 or $47,000. I have checked the frame manufacturing specifications from suppliers like Lippert and BAL, and the steel gauges used on these budget lines are simply not engineered for continuous long-haul stress. The mechanic math shows a definitive $33,000 loss in year one alone. When you factor in the $1,200 dealer prep fee, the dock fees, and the $3,500 in state sales tax, you have effectively spent nearly $38,000 to move a wooden box a few thousand miles down the road. The practical consequence of this front frame flex is that the bedroom slide-out mechanism inevitably begins to bind. This puts unequal pressure on the tracks, leading to stripped gear teeth on the entry-level Schwintek slide systems that cost thousands to timing align and repair. The real drawback here is the cargo carrying capacity. The net payload capacity on these mid-profile units is often shockingly low, sometimes falling under 1,500 pounds once the propane cylinders and option packages are accounted for. This means filling your freshwater tank completely leaves you with almost no remaining legal weight capacity for tools, clothes, or gear. Station buyers who plan to tow the rig exactly once a year to a permanent seasonal site and leave it parked can safely purchase these units used. But active travelers who intend to traverse rough interstate corridors or frost-heaved northern highways must skip them completely. Dealers love selling the residential kitchen island, but they will not accompany you into the shop when we have to peel back the exterior fiberglass skin to re-weld the main aluminum frame structure. And the next rig proves that adding an engine to a budget box does not slow down the financial bleeding. It just accelerates the mechanical overhead. Number 4. Entry-level gas Class A motorhomes. A cheap gas Class A motorhome gives you the massive size and presence of a diesel pusher, but it leaves you with a commercial truck chassis that depreciates like a heavy rock on wheels. A retired logistics manager from Ohio bought a brand new 32-foot gas Class A for $135,000. He wanted the panoramic windshield experience and the status of a large motorhome. On his very first trip through the mountain passes, reality hit him hard. The engine screamed continuously at 4,500 RPM. The crosswinds from passing semi-trucks shoved his entire coach into the next lane, and the dashboard plastic rattled so violently that he could not hear his wife speak from the passenger seat. He believed he was buying a premium travel machine because the exterior looked identical to a $250,000 diesel coach. The surface trap was incredibly effective. The unit boasted a massive panoramic front windshield, a convenient drop-down overhead bunk for his grandkids, and full exterior paint graphics that looked stunning under the dealership spotlights. But when he brought it to my shop to fix the dashboard rattles, I had him crawl under the front wheel well with me. I pointed directly at the stock rubber suspension bump stops, the generic steering stabilizer, and the raw, uninsulated wood edges exposed under the chaotic dashboard wiring harness. This is where the brochure gets quiet. High-volume manufacturers drop a massive, heavy, wind-catching house structure onto a bone-stock Ford F-53 commercial chassis without upgrading the baseline sway bars, track bars, or dampening systems. This leaves the retail buyer to pay thousands of dollars out of their own pocket just to make the rig track straight on a standard highway. The concrete facts to include are clear. The new sale price sits between $130,000 and $14,500, while the real used value at 24 months with 6,000 miles on the odometer plummets to $78,000 or $85,000. This is the reality of the Ford 7.3-liter V8 Godzilla engine configuration on the standard F-53 platform. The mechanic math will keep you awake at night. You lose approximately $50,000 during the first 2 years of ownership. That is $25,000 a year just for the privilege of keeping it parked in your driveway. Alternatively, you can track down a clean 2-year-old unit for $80,000 on the used market, take it to an independent truck shop, and spend $3,000 on upgraded Roadmaster sway bars or high-end steering stabilizers to get a perfectly drivable rig. The practical consequence of ignoring this chassis reality is that the severe body roll puts extreme, continuous stress on the box-to-chassis mounting bolts, which slowly loosens the perimeter lower body seals over time. The real drawback of this design is maintenance access. Access to the engine is severely limited through a tight interior doghouse cover between the front seats, which instantly doubles the labor time for simple mechanical maintenance, spark plug replacements, or exhaust manifold service. Buyers who stick exclusively to flat, calm highways and travel very short distances between local state parks can consider this rig if bought used. Anyone planning to cross the Rockies, tackle the high wind plains of Texas, or navigate tight, winding coastal routes must skip it. You can paint a generic commercial truck chassis any color you want, but it is still going to drive like a delivery box van until you spend thousands fixing the suspension the factory ignored. Now, if you think a smaller motorhome is a safe bet for holding its value, this next high-production Class C will make you look very closely at the trim levels. Number 3. Mass-production gas Class C motorhomes. Buying the premium cosmetic package on a standard mass-production Class C motorhome is a direct, unrecoverable transfer of your cash to the dealership, because the used market prices them almost identically to the base models. A retired nurse sold her home in Ohio and wanted one clean, compact coach that she could easily manage and drive alone. The dealer spent 3 days convincing her to pay a $15,000 premium for a special edition trim level that featured upgraded vinyl exterior graphics, solid surface countertops, and premium interior lighting. When she brought it back to a different dealer 18 months later due to family health changes, the appraiser refused to give her a single extra dollar for those cosmetic upgrades. She was devastated by the loss. She made the mistake of looking at the interior decor instead of the mechanical identification tags. The surface traps were everywhere: polished Korean-style kitchen counters, upgraded leatherette cab seats, neon LED exterior accent lighting, and a prominent chrome grille package that made the front look upscale. But when I performed the inspection in my shop bay, I ignored the counters completely. I checked the wet wall construction around the overcab bunk area and discovered unsealed clearance light housings that were already showing signs of minor moisture sweating behind the interior paneling. That is where the pretty coach starts losing. Beneath the fancy exterior graphics and the solid countertops, the standard base trim and the premium option trim share the exact same Ford E450 chassis, the same 7.3-liter V8 engine, the same transmission, and the exact same plastic plumbing lines behind the cabinets. The premium trim costs $115,000 new, while the base trim sits at $98,000. Yet, the used market value for both configurations flattens out completely after 2 years, landing right around $68,000 to $72,000. Let us look at the ugly little math buyers miss. By opting for the cosmetic upgrade package new, your first-year depreciation rate jumps from a painful 30% to a catastrophic 40%. The used market completely flattens these cosmetic differences. It values the chassis condition, the mileage, and the functional floor plan layout. The practical consequence of this specific design is the heavy overcab bunk area. It acts as a massive cantilevered lever, constantly stressing the structural joints where the automotive cab meets the fiberglass house body during highway driving, which leads to early water intrusion that insurance rarely covers. The real drawback is the cab comfort. The legroom in the front cab is severely restricted by the massive fiberglass engine doghouse extrusion, making long driving days incredibly uncomfortable for taller individuals or anyone with knee issues. Buyers who purchase the absolute lowest base trim configuration used can find great value here, allowing the original owner to absorb the entire cosmetic loss. Anyone who thinks a higher trim level translates to better wall lamination or a more durable roof design must skip it. A salesperson will tell you those solid surface countertops elevate the coach. I am telling you the road does not care about your countertops when it is shaking your roof seams apart. But the most severe financial drops do not happen in the budget categories. They happen when buyers mistake a trendy adventure brand for actual off-grid build quality. Number 2. Overland Adventure Camper Vans and Class B+ rigs. The red-hot Overland Adventure hype has created an artificially inflated new market where buyers pay double for bolt-on external accessories that depreciate instantly when the trend shifts. A retired corporate executive wanted to travel the Western National Parks in a rugged 4x4 camper van. He paid $210,000 new for a high-profile Mercedes-Benz Sprinter conversion equipped with aggressive off-road tires, a matte black finish, and a massive aluminum roof rack. 2 years later, he realized the interior living space was simply too cramped for long-term comfort. But the best private offer he could get on the open market was a brutal $12,500. He was trapped by the lifestyle marketing. The surface traps on these adventure rigs are highly intoxicating. Heavy-duty roof racks, rugged terrain tires, black alloy wheels, overland mountain decals, and a complex lithium battery bank system that promises indefinite off-grid power. When he brought it to my shop to diagnose an electrical error code, I crawled underneath the chassis to inspect the wiring harness for the custom battery system. What I found was shocking. Exposed plastic zip ties and uninsulated heavy-gauge cables running less than 2 inches away from the hot exhaust heat shield. This is why mechanics look at it differently. Mass-production RV brands take a standard commercial cargo van shell and pack it with incredibly complex aftermarket electrical and plumbing components that the local Mercedes-Benz automotive dealer refuses to service. This leaves the retail owner permanently stuck between an unhelpful RV dealer who does not understand the chassis and an unhelpful automotive dealer who refuses to touch the house electronics. The new MMSERP sticker on these units routinely sits between $200,000 and $225,000. The verified used value at 24 months drops hard to $120,000 or $135,000 on the Mercedes Sprinter 2500 4x4 or AWD diesel platform. The mechanic math represents an absolute financial bloodbath. You are losing up to $90,000 in 2 years of light ownership. That is nearly $45,000 a year in pure asset destruction. The bolt-on off-road components like ladders, racks, and aluminum storage boxes lose 80% of their value the moment they leave the lot, because used buyers treat them as personalized gear rather than structural assets. The practical consequence of these heavy roof loads, combined with aggressive off-road driving, is that the vertical body panels flex excessively, quickly misaligning the delicate sliding side door mechanisms and causing permanent wind noise leaks at highway speeds. The real drawback is the extreme lack of interior living space. The wet bath is often a tightly combined toilet and folding sink setup, where you must navigate complex angles just to brush your teeth or change your clothes. Dedicated off-grid solo travelers who absolutely require four-wheel drive and possess deep pockets for specialized Mercedes diesel maintenance should buy this unit used. Retirees who spend 95% of their travel time in established RV parks with full utility hookups where the off-road gear is just useless, heavy weight must skip it completely. Putting a steel roof ladder and a set of knobby tires on a delivery van does not turn it into an armored vehicle. It just makes it an expensive van that is harder to service. Which brings us to number 1, the absolute king of first-year depreciation. This is the segment where buyers lose the value of a small house in less than 12 months. Number 1. High-end front-engine gas luxury coaches. Buying a high-end gas Class A coach brand new is the single most expensive mistake you can make in the entire RV world, because you pay near diesel luxury prices for an entry-level gas chassis that the market completely abandons the second it hits the used lot. A couple who recently sold their manufacturing business in Ohio came into my shop looking for a luxury coach to fulfill their retirement dream. They explicitly told me they refused to buy a used diesel coach because they were intimidated by air brakes and diesel mechanical maintenance. Instead, they spent $215,000 on a top-tier new gas coach. 1 year later, they realized the layout did not suit their needs and attempted to downsize, only to find the highest dealer trade-in allowance across 3 states was a brutal $122,000. They were completely blinded by the luxury finishes inside the cabin. The surface traps were masterfully executed: solid wood residential cabinetry, dual vanity porcelain sinks in the master bath, a built-in central vacuum system, and 3 separate television viewing areas, including an exterior entertainment center. The showroom floor felt rock solid, but when I performed my mechanical evaluation, I skipped the interior features entirely. I checked the rear axle weight limits and evaluated the massive 10-foot body overhang behind the rear wheels. This creates an immense, unstable lever arm that completely destabilizes the ride quality when the coach is in motion. This is the ugly little math buyers miss. The RV industry regularly builds these massive 38 to 40-foot luxury spaces on the exact same basic Ford F-53 gas chassis that is engineered for short, entry-level 30-foot rigs. Because the gas chassis has a hard mechanical weight limit, you are paying a massive premium for high-end wood trim and stone counters that push the coach dangerously close to its maximum gross vehicle weight rating before you even pack a single suitcase or fill the fresh water tank. The concrete facts are undeniable. The new purchase price ranges from $210,000 to $240,000. The real resale value after 12 months and 5,000 miles drops straight to $125,000 or $135,000 on the 26,000-pound GVWR Ford chassis. The mechanic math reveals a staggering $90,000 to $100,000 loss in year 1 alone. That translates to roughly $18 per mile, driven in pure asset loss. For that exact same $130,000 used price tag, you could easily buy a 5-year-old genuine diesel pusher built on a heavy-duty Freightliner air ride chassis that has already finished its major depreciation curve and is engineered to last 3 times longer. Buyers frequently hesitate because they fear an older model year or a $1,500 diesel oil and filter service bill. But my shop experience proves that spending $1,500 a year maintaining a structurally stable diesel asset is infinitely smarter than losing $90,000 in 12 months on a shiny front-engine gas coach. The practical consequence of this massive gas configuration is extreme driving fatigue. Driving this massive house in high winds forces the driver to constantly fight the steering wheel, resulting in severe physical exhaustion after just 3 hours on the highway. The real drawback is the front engine placement. The engine sits directly between the driver and passenger seats under a plastic cover, turning every single highway incline into a roaring, hot conversation killer that ruins the travel experience. The smart buyer who tracks down this exact luxury gas unit 3 years later for $110,000 should buy it, letting the original owner absorb the massive 6-figure financial hit. Anyone who thinks spending over $200,000 on a gas coach guarantees a premium, smooth, air ride driving experience must skip it immediately. You can put real porcelain tile and solid cherry wood inside a gas coach, but the depreciation index does not care about the kitchen floor when the engine is still sitting under your dashboard screaming for air. When you step back and look at the entire RV market through the lens of a service bay, you start to see that the real winners are not the ones with the brightest LED lights or the freshest interior paint. True value belongs to the rigs with the strongest bones, the lowest delamination risk, and the chassis configurations that match the actual weight of the house. The smartest move you can make is to buy a base trim model or a premium unit that has already sat on a used lot for 2 or 3 years, allowing the original buyer to absorb that devastating initial drop in value. Dealers will keep selling what moves fastest. I will keep telling you what survives. Comment what you want me to inspect next. Class C mistakes, used diesel pushers, or the fifth wheels I would not buy with my own money.